This is Aaron Dunn speaking. This is my second official introduction video. May God bless every one of you. Hello, Internet Land. This is Aaron Dunn speaking. I am here because today is my birthday, and I wanted to let you all know that I am fixing to go ahead and do another Telephones in the Cabin video, especially for my birthday. So, here is the Telephones in the Cabin video as of today, which is my birthday. And here's the Telephones in the Cabin as of today, which is August 14th, 2019, which is my birthday. Anyways, let's take a look at the caller ID boxes. The Bell Equipment Sonicore VE-99N, which came from the First West, or should I say, the Family Promise Thrift Store of Ouachita. The Bell South CI61, which came from the Rusty Hangar. The Lucent Technologies 425, which came from the Family Promise Thrift Store of Ouachita. The Radio Shack 250 caller ID system, which came from the First West. And finally, from the Levy Stream Marketplace, I have the Radio Shack 433903A CID 3903A. Now, moving on to the quarter trimline telephones, including the quarter trimline speakerphone. Starting with the vintage ATT210, which I got from the Goodwill. Then the ATT TR1909 with caller ID, or caller ID. As you can see here, I got it from the First West. The Bell Phone's Favorite, which I got this one at the Goodwill. Then the Bell South Products 439, which I got from the Goodwill. Then also from the Goodwill, I got the, or should I say the First West, I got the Conair Phone CID 400. Then the Conair Phone CID 402MS, which came from the Goodwill. Then the Conair Phone SW205, which I got from the Goodwill as well. Then the Kobe CTP 100, which I also got from the Goodwill. Then the Craig CT502, which came from the First West in hot pink. Then the Electro brand HAC 8032, which came from my first grandmother. Then the Emerson EM2131, which I got this one at the Goodwill. This one I also got at the Goodwill. This is the Emerson EM2517 with caller ID, or caller ID. Then the GE General Electric 29253 GE1-B, which came from the Goodwill. Sorry about the air conditioner running, but this is the GE General Electric 29267 GE2-B with caller ID. This one came from the Little Bit of Yesterday flea market. Then the GE General Electric 29267 GE3-B, or was it dash A? It's dash B, which came from the Little Bit of Yesterday flea market. This one came from the Goodwill. Sorry about that. Then the GE General Electric 29297 GE3-A, which I gotten from the Little Bit of Yesterday flea market, or was that Frog's Flea Market? It was Frog's Flea Market. I did it again! This video's already a mess. Then the Lennox Sound PH543 with caller ID, or caller ID, which I gotten from Mom. Then the Motorola S2634A quarter trimline telephone with scanner, or the Motorola S2634A, which came from Sherida. Do you know how this thing works, Nick? Please let me know when this thing does work for you. Then from the Levy Street Marketplace, I got the vintage Sears 329-344-21550. Then at the Goodwill, I have the Sony IT8020 with caller ID. Then, of course, the Southwestern Bell FM1000, which I got from the Goodwill. Then the Uniden 1260BK with caller ID, which came from the Goodwill. Then the Unisonic 6750, which also came from the Goodwill. Then the VTech CD1103, which I got this one at the Walmart Supercenter. And finally, the VTech CD1113 with caller ID, which I got from the First West. That was it for that product line. Now let's move on to the next product line, the corded speakerphones. Starting with the ATT 906, which came from the First West. Then the ATT 993 two-line with caller ID, which came from the Goodwill. Oops, messed up a little bit. Then the Durabrand PH3235, which came from my first grandmother. Then the Emerson EM2646 with caller ID, which came from the Freds. Then the GE General Electric 29393 GE1-A with caller ID, which came from my first grandmother. Then the G Mark Amplivoice 50, which came from the Family Promise Thrift Store of Washington. Then the Lennox Sound PH312, which came from the Family Promise Thrift Store of Washington, or the Lennox PH312, which came from the Levy Street Marketplace. This one came from Miss Evelyn, but the speakerphone part doesn't work anymore. The telephone part only works now, and this is the Lennox Sound PH319. Then the Panasonic KXTS3282W, which came from the Back in Time Flea Market, which of course is a two-line with caller ID. And finally, the Polycom SE-220 with caller ID, which came from the Transformations Thrift Store. Not to forget to mention the two LCD touch panels, which both of these phones came from the Goodwill and the Freds. Now then, going to the corded telephones. Starting with the ATT Lucid Technologies branded 135, which came from the First West. And then the automatic electric rotary dial desk, which came from my first grandmother. That was it for this product line. Now moving on to the next product line. The next product line is going to be the DEC 6.0 cordless speakerphones. Hang on guys, give me a moment. I'm trying to find the telephone. Oh, here it is. Never mind. The VTech CS6919 DEC 6.0, which came from the Frogs Flea Market. Then the VTech CS6919-16, which came from my mom for my first Christmas telephone. Now we're going from 900 MHz to DEC 6.0 cordless telephones. Starting with the Uniden EXI4561, which came from the Goodwill. Oh yeah, almost forgot about these two. The VTech CS6519-2. First handset and main base unit are located right here. And then the second handset, which both of these came from the Family Promise Thrift Store of Washington. Now back to this product. The Uniden EXI4561, which came from the Goodwill. Then the Uniden DEC 1363, which came from the Rite Aid. Then the Uniden D1364BK, which came from the Goodwill. Then the VTech IA5877 extra handset, which was thrown in there along with the Uniden DCT648-3 for free. This one was also at the First West. And then the VTech CS6114, which came from the Goodwill. Now then, moving on to the corded speakerphone and corded telephone answering systems. The handset's over there. Let me go ahead and put it back on here. The AT&T 1870, which came from the Goodwill. Here is the more modern side now. The AT&T 1856, which also came from the Goodwill with caller ID. The ATT Sinjay SB67118, which of course came from the First West. The ATT CO4939, which came from the Rusty Hanger, as well as the ATT CO4940, which came from the Walmart Supercenter. Now then, from 900 MHz to DEC 6.0 phones of every brand era that has happened during then. So let's go ahead and give those a try. First off, we have the ATT 9357, which came from the Goodwill. Oh, I almost forgot the Clarity C410, which also came from the Goodwill. Now back to this product, the AT&T 9357, which came from the Goodwill, as well as the Clarity C410, which also came from the Goodwill. The upside down ATTE 5827, which came from Miss Evelyn. Then my first eBay find, the ATTE 1813B, which came from the eBay. The AT&T EL52303 first handset and main base unit, as well as the second handset, and finally the third handset, as all three of these came from the Goodwill. What Nick had currently, which was about to go out, the AT&T CO82213, which of course is the first handset and main base unit along with the second handset. Both of these came from the Family Promise thrift store of Ouachita. Then the new one, the ATT CO82301, which of course is the first handset and main base unit as well as the second and third handsets. All three of these came from the First West. Then the ATT TO92328, first handset and main base unit as well as the second handset and the third handset, as all three of these came from a Deborah. Wow, looks like we got a school storm approaching. Then the Bell South MH9934BK, which came from the eBay. Here's the lighter version of it now. Then, of course, the GE General Electric 26990 GE1-D, which came from the Goodwill. Then the GE General Electric 25881 EE3-A base unit, which came from my first grandmother. Then the GE General Electric 25951 EE1-A, which came from the Amazon, but the handset came from the eBay. Here we go with the more advanced look of it. There it is. Here comes the same storm. It was going to be brewing today. Oops. The GE General Electric 28031 EE1-B, which came from the eBay. And then finally the GE General Electric 30522 EE3-A, which came from the eBay as well. Here's the Motorola L705CM base unit with caller ID, the first handset, and then finally the rest of the handsets, which came from Sister June Copes, which used to attend our old church at one time. Here is the first Panasonic phone I've come across, the Panasonic KXTG5243, which of course is the first handset and main analog base unit. And then finally the second and third handsets, which all three of these came from the eBay. Then the Panasonic KXTG6321S, which of course is supplied with the KXTGA630S handset. This one came from the Rusty Hanger. Then the Panasonic KXTG7431B, which came from the Goodwill. Then the Panasonic KXTG6572R, which both of these handsets and the base unit and charging cradle came from the Goodwill. Then from the Amazon I have the Panasonic KXTGD223N. And then from the Walmart I have the Panasonic KXTG3760M. Oh, yeah, almost forgot about this telephone. This is the GE General Electric 25839 GE3-B, which came from the Goodwill. Silly me, it's the Uniden brand. Starting with what looks like the Uniden EXA915, which came from the eBay. Then the Uniden DCT648-3, which of course is the first handset and main base unit, as well as the second and third handsets, which they are all analog, and they all came from the First West thrift store. The first of the 5.8s, which I have, is the Uniden CEZAI 5698 base unit, which came from the eBay. Then the middle one of the 5.8s, I have the Uniden EXAI 5680, DXAI 5680, which came from the Amazon. And then the third and final one of the 5.8s is the Uniden DXAI 8580-2, which came from the eBay. Oops. Sorry about that, everyone. Made quite a few mistakes there. Then the base unit of the Uniden CEZ-AI 2998, which, of course, the AC adapter came from the eBay, but this phone came from the Transformations thrift store. Give me a moment, guys. I'm trying to find the next Uniden. Oh, well, I found it. The next one that I have come across is this Uniden D1780-5, which came from the eBay. And then finally, we have the Uniden D3280-2, which came from the eBay. Now moving on to the VTech brand, let's start off with the VTech 2568, which came from the eBay. And looks like it needs to be reset again, the date and time. The next one, which also needs to set its time and day too, is the VTech IA5854, which came from the Amazon. Now the VTech CS5121, or is the VTech CS5121, which came from the Amazon. Then the VTech CS6124, which came from the eBay. First, it was purchased from the Walmart, and then it was purchased from the eBay. The next one I have here is the VTech CS6829, which came from the Walmart or from a Deborah. And then finally the VTech DS6121, which came from the eBay. Now moving on to the digital answering systems. The digital answering systems I have currently would involve the AT&T Lucid Technologies branded 1715, which came from the Goodwill. The AC adapter came from the house. The ATT 1717, which came from the eBay. The upside down ATT 1719, which also came from the eBay. Then the upside down ATT 1722, which came from the Goodwill, but the AC adapter came from the eBay. Then the ATT Lucid Technologies AT&T branded 1725, which came from the eBay whenever I won the item. The next eBay find that I found on the eBay is this AT&T 1738. This one and the other one came from the Goodwill, and this is the AT&T 1739, which is shown. And then finally from the Walmart Supercenter, I have the AT&T 1740. Then the Bell Equipment Sony Core JB500, which came from the eBay. Then the Bell South 1195, which came from the eBay. Then the unfortunate Casio PhoneMate TA115, which I need to get that fixed, is the speaker's second piece of wiring, which come loose. This is the Casio PhoneMate TA115 that I gotten from the eBay. Then the Casio PhoneMate TA120, which I also got from the same eBay. Then the Conner Phone TAD1212WCSF, which came from the Goodwill, unopened in its brand new packaging. Then the Conner Phone TAD1220WCS, which came from the eBay. Then the Conner Phone Infinity XS2510, which came from the First West. Then the Emerson EM1250, which came from the Sweet Repeats. Then from the First West thrift store, I have found the GE General Electric 29868, which came from the First West thrift store. Then the Bell South 1129 microcassette remote analog answering system, or the Bell South 1129, which I got from the First West. Moving back here, again is the GE General Electric 29868, which came from the First West. And its counterpart, the GE General Electric 29868 GE1-B, which came from the Amazon. Then from the Back in Time Flea Market, which of course came from Miss Evelyn at first, this is the GE General Electric 29875 GE1-B. And then the GE General Electric 2980-GC1-A, which came from the, which came from the, what was the name of it? Okay, it came from the, the GE General Electric 2980-GC1-A, which came from the Goodwill. I will have to make a part 2 of this. So long, everyone. Here is part 2 of 2 of the telephones in the cabin. As of today, which is August 14th, 2019, and it was my birthday. So, let's continue onwards with the digital answering systems. The Panasonic KX-TM100B, which came from the eBay. Then the Radio Shack TAD704 with caller ID, which came from the First West. Then the Radio Shack TAD3808, which came from the eBay. Then the Sharper Image V2000S1, which came from the First West. It was a rare find for me. Then the Sony TAM100, which came from the Amazon. Then the Southwestern Bell FA970S, which came from the Sweet Repeats. And finally, all I have here is the Southwestern Bell FA990, which came from the eBay. Now then, for the mechanical bell ringer, which I'll need to put my phone camera aside for now. Hang on a second, everyone, I'll be back. Ha! This thing is actually pretty cool. Alrighty then. This is the Radio Shack 43175, which came from the Habitat for Humanity Restore when it was being sold there. So now let us go ahead and try to make sure 4 rings work. Alright, and now for the final 2 items that I'll be showing today is the wireless space stations. This one is the Straight Talk Z723EL, which is the Straight Talk Verizon Wireless Z723EL base station, which came from the Walmart. And then from a Deborah over there, I have the Verizon Wireless F256VW, which came from a Deborah. And that was it for the telephones in the cabin video. If you would like to comment or subscribe or leave a like, please do so. Otherwise, enjoy this video and have a pleasant, blessed evening. From me, Aaron Dunn. May God bless every one of you. Thank you for watching my videos. May God bless every one of you. From Aaron Dunn.